Hi,
Good
Sarah.
morning. How are you?
Okay, are you one of the presenters?
I am.
Okay. How many other presenters? I have to look
There's
back.
3 others for this group.
Okay.
Um,
Um, I'll ask you, just because I don't have, I'm multitasking here. I'll ask you right before I see someone that tries to get in, because I don't want to let anyone in except the presenters until
Thank you.
10. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Okay. So, are you ready for your presentation?
Oh yeah,
Oh, good.
this is one of 3 times it's going off this week. So the
Wow.
first time we were actually supposed to do it on Friday for PACAC and we postponed it. So ready to get the first one under our belt will make a big difference.
Where are you right now?
I'm in Newington, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
I work for Cheshire Academy in Connecticut. I was in Pennsylvania until 3 years ago.
Oh, I was talking with someone else at Cheshire Academy about doing your college fair.
Laura Dempsey. Yeah, I had recommended that she talk to you guys because I had talked to Ellen Dietrich at the Hill School.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah, I
yeah.
haven't heard back from her. Are you guys
So
still thinking about it?
we are. She's on vacation. We're actually meeting on Thursday in my backyard because we're not allowed on campus. And I'm thinking we're going to go through. We also reached out to Chase Collegiate School to
Okay.
see if they would partner with us because they were going to come to our in-person fair.
Okay.
So yes, I
Okay.
do think we're going to go through with it.
Good. Well, I'll be working with you on that.
Awesome.
So Polly and Stacy and Rachel.
Stacy, and Rachel, yes.
Polly, no.
No Polly, not
Okay.
yet. And there should be a Lauren Hoyt that comes through.
Okay. Oh, I know Lauren.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Roselle, no.
Nope.
No.
Just
Okay.
Lauren. She's my last one.
Okay. I'll just wait.
Morning, Stacy.
Good morning. I'm just gonna run to the
Yes.
potty. I'll be right back.
Morning, Rachel.
Rachel,
And
I love your background.
Thank you. I can't. Oh, there we go. Okay. I was trying to see myself yet. But.
Well, Sarah, just to finish our conversation, I'm looking forward to working with you guys. So just reach out, just have Laura reach out to me when she's ready to have. I'm working, through the summer. So
cool.
Let's see.
I'm hoping after Thursday, it may end up actually being me because I tend to handle more of the technical side, but she was already in touch. She handles all our testing. So she had already been in touch with having the wonderful gift cards from RevPrep that I know make a difference for students.
Yeah, well, and Andy, who's running this whole conference, and you might have seen him at the beginning. He's like my wingman. He's the back. He handles the whole back end, but he's great.
Rachel, I'm hoping on Thursday we decide to do a college fair using RevPrep in the fall.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm hoping that with everything going virtual that we can use this as an inroad to actually start hosting a college fair because Mercersburg is in the middle of nowhere and we can't get our CFO on board yet, but our whole office is like, please let us host a college fair.
Rachel, your name seems so familiar. Where are you?
I'm at Mercersburg Academy.
Oh, I think I met you before. I know I did. So,
you have. I think we met at Axis a few years ago.
Yes. I was like, why do I know that name? But yeah, if you're interested, we can help you with a college, and we do it. Are you guys working with us for test prep or no?
We might be. We might be in the future, I should say. We are currently working with Mark's Education out of DC. We've been working with them for a number of years. But we've had some shifting in our office. We have a new director, and we're finally able to sort of reconsider other options for test prep. Mark's has done great, and they've worked with us in a hybrid model. But we're realizing that some of what we would like to do, we can actually do better with other companies and at a less of a financial impact to us in some ways too. So we're really evaluating all of that. And I know RevPrep is one that has come up over and over again. So it's well on our radar.
Yeah, just so you know that we offer financial aid for any of your kids that are that need aid for any of our group courses. So we're the Equity and Access Company. So and So anyway, we can talk more. I'll try to reach out to you sometime later, but we can, if you're working with us too, we do the virtual college fairs for free. So.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, we are. As I said, one of my colleagues has been really taking the lead on the research for that. I wanted to, but had too much on my plate this spring to be able to say, yeah, that's a great. That's I can absolutely help out.
I'm so proud that you could say that.
I know. I was really proud. I was like, it's killing me, but I need to draw the line.
Who is your colleague?
Glenn Neufeld.
I don't know him. No.
He's also our head swim coach. He's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. But doesn't get to as many professional conferences for us because of his swim schedule. He's a pretty big deal in the swimming world.
Oh, okay.
Bill, has a Lauren Hoyt popped into the?
No, I'm waiting.
Okay. She may still be in the other. And just I'm gonna start, and then we're each gonna share screens. Hopefully, all technology goes well. We have a backup plan, but we don't want to.
Let me make you guys.
Yeah, I mean, the default is that anyone can share a screen because I checked it out when we were in the main.
Okay.
Session.
So did I.
If I wanted to, I could just share my screen right now.
Yeah, you can. So I think that's fine. I want to still make you the co-host.
Great.
And so.
And Bill, it's nice to meet you. We have not met, I don't think.
Yeah. Hi. How are you? I'm just here. We'll make you a co-host. I'm just here doing busy work. Okay. I'm gonna make you a co-host. Making everyone co-host.
Thank you. I'm Katie.
I realized this morning that I had not sent you all the view of what it looks like when you open up a college in Maya. So I've added that into my little notes of what are the screens to show. There's so much. I don't know. That's the tricky.
I know. We're just telling them all it's a quick overview.
Yes, exactly.
I have that in my opening.
As a co-host, I think you may be able to see the people are waiting now. Can you?
Yeah, I can see them now.
Okay, so if I don't see Lauren when she pops in, let me know. But you might be able to even admit her. I'm not sure. No, I don't think so. I don't know. Is that her?
Yes, we can.
Oh, you can.
Yep, and there she is.
Oh, there she is.
So I just admitted her.
Okay.
And then is it okay, Sarah, do you want to send a message to everyone in the waiting room saying, thanks for coming, we'll be with you in 5 minutes or whatever?
Yeah.
Or in 3 minutes?
I'll do that right now.
So.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
I see people sitting there forever.
Lauren, are you still at Hill?
I am. Yep.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Jade was on one of our advisory board calls last week, and we've been talking about hosting some of your college nights in the fall.
I heard. Yeah, that'll be great. How was everyone this morning?
Good.
We're doing. Are you making a blanket, Stacy?
Oh, this is actually a sweater. It's a crazy sweater that is.
Ooh.
Oh, lovely.
Pretty.
Yeah.
I love the colors.
Thank you. I don't wear that much color, as you can see. So I thought it would be, I wear a lot of black, so I thought it would be nice to have a really crazy, colorful sweater to throw on over my black clothes.
Do we want to say something early on that either we feel free to put questions in the chat, we'll answer them at the end, or okay.
Have it in my notes.
Okay, I was just thinking, do we want to have somebody tracking the questions? But if somebody asks about CALFO, Lauren's the only one who can answer.
I think I'm going to be done pretty fast, and more people have seen Naviance, so I can do that.
Okay.
Is your presentation about CALFO? No.
It's about 4 different systems.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did some consulting for CALFO. I love them.
Okay.
Of course, I'm a little biased.
We went to CALFO this year, and I'm on the advisory board, so that's what I'll be talking about.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did when they first started, I did some consulting with them, and then I just couldn't handle it anymore. I just had too much stuff going on. But I think they're great.
the other note that I made just for you ladies is just to make a note that I recognize that we're representing 4 independent schools with resources beyond what many of the public schools that have our systems are using or have access to based on volume or time. So just to make sure people kind of recognize the privilege that we're coming from.
Great.
Just heard a very loud noise coming from upstairs.
Do you know, does anyone know if the other session's still going on, or did they finish?
It should all be. There was a little break.
Okay.
I say the last presenter is in here, so the award presenter.
So that's a good sign.
So that's a good sign, yeah.
All right.
I just don't want to start early in case people walked away.
So I will, just so you guys don't, so you can concentrate on what you're doing, I'll admit the people that come in late, okay?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Even though you're up.
I feel like we're ready to start admitting people because I'd like to get started right at 10, right?
I'll just admit all.
Sure.
And we have the ability to share our screens when.
Yes, because you're co-host now. You should be able to.
Okay. Great.
Good morning, friends.
Everyone.
Morning. Nice to see everybody.
You.
Old friends. We would have been having coffee and pastry and
Seven Springs breakfast would have been a lot bigger than what I ate today.
Sarah.
Yes.
You're always at the desk.
Yeah, I did say to my husband this morning, I did not have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning and to be down at that desk. There was a difference in life.
And be purple and orange. Well, and pastry from the wonderful bakery that they have.
Yes.
Although after the breakfast there, one doesn't need a whole lot.
True.
My station is in a window and all the little kids come by on bikes all morning. So if I'm waving during the session, they get really animated if I don't stop and wave.
Well, I'm in Chicago.
Oh.
We have temporarily moved to Chicago for a few months to take care of my 2.5-year-old grandson. So my daughter-in-law can go on bed rest. So my husband is bearing the brunt of most of this because I'm obviously still working. So he's running after 2.5-year-old or fighting with him to put his clothes on or whatever. So.
Yeah, I don't know that you should fight with him to put his clothes on, Francine. I mean, like, whatever, we're home. Just let him be naked.
Well, and actually, there are days where his parents say, just let him keep on his Superman or his dinosaur or whatever. But my husband is in the moment trying to get him to go outside for a walk before it starts raining to get him something to do or to play.
Yeah.
So maybe
for that one needs more than a diaper.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's fair.
We do seem to be in sort of a pantsless world right now.
That's why Zoom
No
is
one sees your pants.
gear up for Zoom. Yes. Look at Justin and the hair growth. No, okay, I guess it's a shadow, Justin. I'm glad you're clean shaven. It looked like you had a beard, but it's a shadow apparently.
Just make sure if you're pantless that you don't have any mirrors behind you.
And
or
I'm
get
not.
up to go get something or whatever.
Any recommendation on ring lights? I'm so dark right here, so.
Yeah.
I ended up just putting a lamp on the other side of my computer and it works magic. Just a regular lamp.
And they also say apparently in front of you.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying, Sarah?
Yep.
So is Miss Sarah in Connecticut?
I am. I'll be at Seven Springs. That's okay.
And what is UConn talking about going back to school?
They have released a plan. We are very lucky in Connecticut that the boarding schools, universities, and colleges are all on the same governing board release plan. So we're going back in August with some restrictions and ending in November.
Are you boarding?
Mhm.
Oh,
I don't live
know.
on campus, but I work at a boarding.
And what's the percentage that would be Asian population that might not be returning?
We're about 30, but most of them are still in the US because they
Oh.
couldn't get home.
Okay.
Most of our students are African population. Their countries all locked borders. They couldn't get home. And honestly, they have very low COVID rates because they wouldn't let people come in.
Yeah.
So, all right, it is 10:01. I know we're going to have people continue to pop in, but we will get started. And I'm going to share my screen properly. Here we go. Okay. So I am Sarah Lassoff-Hodge at Cheshire Academy. I have 3 other lovely presenters here with me, Stacy Kunitz from the Crefeld School, Lauren Hoyt from the Hill School, and Rachel Mallory. And we are doing a behind the scenes look at completing an application. My PowerPoint is messed up, so this is how we're doing it. We're going to be starting off with some really quick overviews of what our systems show and how we send documents. We will answer any questions that you have at the end. Each of us will talk for about 5 minutes or so about our systems and then answer our questions. This really came to light as an experience that I had when I was on the college side, where I had a colleague come in and show Naviance to my staff. And it created a lot of empathy from my staff about getting transcripts, calling the counselor to ask for documents and when things were coming in and information to the counselor. So we decided we wanted to share some 4 very different systems that we have. I do want to recognize that we are representing 4 independent schools that are quite well resourced. The public schools, many have these systems, but they are working with a volume and time and schedule that is different than what many of us are working with, especially as school counselors have much more than just the college process to work on. So please continue the empathy. Any questions you have as you go, please put them right into the chat. If you have a need for Act 48 credits, at the bottom of the main conference page, just a screenshot, is the request form for the Act 48 credits that will get sent to you to send along to your school district, along with the session evaluation and the overall conference evaluation. While we certainly hope that we are in person, the conference planning committee would love to have all of your evaluations. So please take a few minutes to complete them so they can plan for future programming. We will get started. Aha. So I'm going to start off. Cheshire Academy is, as many of you just heard me talking, we're a boarding school in Connecticut. I have about 110 graduating seniors and postgrads each year from 35 countries and 19 states, and they attend about 90 different colleges. We use Naviance. We're possibly one of the systems you are most familiar with. This is what I see when I log in. Coming out of the college world to Naviance and having used TargetX and Slate, this is a whole different, very basic world. I can get some quick snapshots, such as how many of my students were accepted, but really not much from my home screen. When I'm in with my student, my very favorite student, I'm a B student, is our sample student. I have a lot of demographic information. I also can access information about their test scores, any assessments that they may have done, college lists that they may have created, but as you can see, it's pretty basic and I have to click in to get any more information. I'm going to show you without a name, an actual student who has listed their applications. This is where I send scores from, or send transcripts from. Sorry, I'm not sending scores. And I can see in here, because my student has linked their Common App, if they've submitted their application. So for a student who is not very communicative, this is very beneficial. I can sort and see if they've submitted an application for me to be able to send information. I can also do a pretty simple click and send when something is ready to send. What I find very interesting is I have to complete forms to do all of this on the back end, and I can't open them without showing you student data, so we're going to not do that. But everything is tied to either the Common App or Naviance forms, and even though most colleges that I know don't even look at those forms, and half of what I put on them is see my letter, I can't submit anything without those forms. When I'm looking at college information, I can see some very cursory data here about how my students have done, and I do have one nice little scattergram option for the results from my students. My students, on the other hand, have some really great pictures and colorful pieces. Not every college looks exactly like this, as colleges do have to pay to have their profiles upgraded, which was something I was very surprised about when I was on the college side. You have to make sure that you have all your proper information with Hobson's and that you get your pictures and all submitted. Otherwise, it becomes a very plain profile. That is my very quick Naviance overview. I am going to then pass on to Stacy.
Hey everybody. All right, I will share my screen. So the system that we are using is SCORE. And that was not the thing I wanted to share. There we go. So this is what I see when I log in. This is actually a fake account that SCORE, when I told them I was doing a presentation, they were like, oh, do you want a fake stuff with data in it? And I said, sure. So this is, none of this is Crefeld School. It's public school 404, as you can see, and it's not that well populated. But this is my dashboard, so I can see, and I'm looking right now at seniors, but I can also quickly go to juniors, sophomores, or freshmen and see kind of the same stuff. I can see their applications, what's happening with their applications, some overview things, some outcomes stuff, and some student performance, which is nice. So that was one thing I wanted to show you. The second thing I wanted to show you was what it looks like to look at a college. So we have the same stuff as Naviance in terms of the overview, and this is American University. I chose a non-Pennsylvania school for this, but so there's a lot of basic information, and I don't think that's that different. The wall is quite different. This is all social media stuff that got pulled out of American University's social media accounts. That SCORE actually goes through and does this. Colleges are not allowed to curate this or pay for it, except as they do on their own social media. So if it's out there, it's on the wall, and this is updated a lot and really interesting. And I think it's one of the things that kids respond to well. And then the analysis tab shows the scattergram, which is very similar to Naviance, and then these, like, there are overlap schools. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do with that as well. And then finally, I wanted to just show you what it looks like when you are seeing a student. When you log into a student, when you log in and you want to look at a student, it comes up as this overview. And as you scroll down, what you can see is that on the left, now we're in academic overview. Now we're in activities and achievements. Now we're in college preferences. So you don't have to keep clicking on different things to get to the thing that you want. And then when it comes to the documents, it's very easy. Managing the documents is super easy. The counselor actually has the ability to even, I think for a lot of you, on the right is where all the pictures of us are. So what you're not seeing is that for teacher recommendation here on the right, it says request, and it also says add. So I can request a teacher recommendation on a student's behalf. I can add a recommendation for that teacher I have, and I'm sure all of you have, who cannot figure out technology and is just like, here's a piece of paper with my recommendation on it. I can actually handle that for them. And I think it's one of the things that we liked best when we were looking at SCORE was that they seem very agnostic. So it's kind of like, here's 8 different ways to do everything and what works best for your community. So I think that was all of my slides, and we're trying to stay quick and dirty over here so that we can get to your questions. So thank you. I'll stop.
Thank you, Stacy. So I'm going to share my screen now and hold on. Okay. All right. So, and again, I'm Lauren Hoyt. I'm from the Hill School, which is a boarding school in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. We have 145 seniors in a typical class, and we are 80% boarding. So that's very much a part of our identity. And actually, CALFO, we like CALFO in particular because it has some features that work really well. For a boarding population where our parents are not with us all the time, but they can see what students are doing. So I'm going to start showing, and just as a little background with CALFO in Hill, this is our first year using CALFO. In the past, we've used Naviance. So we're in a transition year where our seniors used Naviance and we introduced our juniors to CALFO. So we have not actually sent documents through CALFO, but we've been trained on it, and it's very straightforward and actually very similar to what you just saw on SCORE. So I'm going to show some other features about CALFO instead. So starting with the scattergram. So you can see it looks somewhat similar to the scattergram that you see in Naviance. One of the nice features that they added this year is that you can actually take away the different features. So for this particular university, if I wanted to talk to a student about, you know, what typical EA, oops, sorry about that, my light went off, about what typical early action candidates look like, I can take all of those away and just look at those plots, which is really different. And so I chose a school here who has both ED and EA, so we can have that kind of nuanced conversation. So I also want to talk about a couple of the features that are unique to CALFO. So one unique feature is that you can put students into, let's wait till it loads, into groups. So we've identified different groups that we think are, all right, important. And the purpose of the groups is two things. One, that there is an email service through CALFO, it's called Broadcast, where I can send an email with information specifically to students only applying to UK universities. And we have a whole bunch of different groups that we have indicated here and gone through as a team of college counselors to figure out what are the scenarios where we might be emailing or wanting to send information just to certain students about a process that they need to follow or about opportunities. We all receive lots of emails about maybe it's fly-in programs or students interested in engineering, and we can really target what information gets sent along. So there's a little bit of work on the college counselor's part to get all of that set up, but then it allows us to communicate more effectively with the students that we feel like might be most interested. The other purpose about groups is to be able to use the task function. So when I'm in resources, I can see in here, we've created just a couple of tasks, and it just gives students deadlines and information about what they need to be doing and by when. And you can also upload documents to the tasks, which is really nice. So our teacher recommendation form is attached in here, and then I assign who all needs to have that task assigned to them. I can also do tasks that are specific just to an individual student. So if I'm in a meeting with a student and that student needs to start working more on their essay, I could say, okay, you need to have an outline a week from now, and I will assign that task. The nice thing, as I was saying, about the features that we thought would be helpful as a boarding school, a parent can come in and see what task has been assigned and when that's due. And then the student can indicate when they're done with the task. And as the college counselor, I can approve that they are actually done with that task. And so again, follow along, and they don't need to bug their child or bug the college counselor, but they can see on here what has already been done. The last thing that I wanted to show was our dashboard, and very similar to what Stacy was saying about SCORE. We have a dashboard that you can really manipulate to see the information that you want to see, and the student can see the information they want to see, and each counselor can tailor it to what they feel like is important, and they can change it day by day. So Jonah Hill, I have the privilege of naming our fake fifth formers every year. And so I think it's really funny. Students didn't think it was as funny as I did, but these are all of the different columns that are on here. And so right now, all I have is counselor, task list, and the last time Jonah signed in. And you can see it's all filtered that way. But I can, if I wanted to see all of my students with their long list, I can indicate that and then move that up to the highest priority. And then if I hit update, that gets changed. So again, I can easily change what students I'm looking at, what I'm prioritizing for the day, and this doesn't have any impact on what other counselors are seeing. The other nice thing about CALFO is under the school search function, it looks exactly the same way that what the students see. So there's no difference like there is in Naviance between that flashy thing that students see and then something a little bit more utilitarian for what the counselor sees. All right, thank you. On to you, Rachel.
All right. Let me see if I can figure out how to share my screen now. All right, so as Sarah said at the beginning, my name is Rachel Mallory. I'm at Mercersburg Academy in South Central Pennsylvania. We're a boarding school that graduates a class of about 125 seniors every year. And much like Lauren, we just made the shift this year from Naviance over to Maya Learning. What you're seeing here right now is the counselor landing page. I did want to give a little bit of background about our process in shifting because it's been a big year at Mercersburg. Our entire school shifted over to a new learning management system or new CRM, Veracross. So a lot of our decision in choosing Maya was its integration ability with Veracross, as well as its integration with the Common App. We did a demo with both SCORE and CALFO. We also did a demo with Naviance at the time as well. And ultimately, Maya integrates a little more seamlessly with Veracross, which saves our team and our administrative assistant, who is she's the backbone of our office. It saves her a lot of data entry, a lot of hours on data entry. So that was a really big shift for us. We also welcomed a new, well, I don't want to say welcomed a new director, but we have a new director this year who's been in our office, but new to the director role. And at the time that we were going through this last spring, Maya had over 1,000 clients, both domestically and internationally. So the decision for him, he didn't want us to be a beta test in his first year as a director as well. So that became a factor in how we chose Maya. We found it to be incredibly beneficial they're really responsive to everything. And so a couple things that I'm going to show you here. You can see this is our counselor landing page. And with us, we have students at every class year in here. We do start working with our students in 9th grade with some limited activities, but you can easily narrow down to specific counts to the specific counselor load that you're looking at. So let me see if I can pull up. You can see the counselor view. I'll actually just jump into to show you the student view too. When you land on the student view, they have a bunch of different buttons here so that they can poke around based on the activity and task that we've assigned them. Much like CALFO, Maya allows you to assign tasks in different ways, and you can monitor their completion over here with the check boxes that you see along the side. We are still building our program out, so we're still learning and figuring out all of the different capabilities within Maya. Mostly, obviously, right now we've been working with just the college plan. So along the side, if I click into college plan, you can see this is our college search feature. You can customize it in a variety of different ways. Colleges pop up pretty easily. As students add them to their lists, they become colleges that they're considering. And you can see this is our dummy account here. This will populate with a GPA when we have it in the system, as well as their test scores, so they can see those at a glance. There's also the ability to jump in and see more detailed test scores underneath the college plan details. But here, one of the things we love about Maya is its transparency. So as a student applies to schools, you can see they really can track. Application type will tell you what type of application. If it's a Common App school, all of this information pre-populates from fields from the Common App. They have easy access to the scattergram here. We can choose their rating in terms of expected outcomes pretty easily. And they also can tell us their interest level up here based on a tiered system, as opposed to like a 1 through 10. It's a tiered system. They also in here, students can go in and add specific notes that the counselor can respond to, and we can begin a dialogue that appears here as well. I will be honest, I've gotten frustrated with these boxes at times, and I love that you can toggle into a list view as well. So depending on what you're looking at. Parents also have access when they log into their Maya Learning account. They have access to see everything that their students are seeing. As I said, Maya is very transparent, which when it comes to the application process and you jump over to the application document send summary, oh, excuse me, I have another student up here I can show you. You can see, this is one of my current seniors, or recently graduated seniors, I should say. Parents can see where documents have been successfully sent, and there's an option to add a date so that from a counselor perspective, I can go in and see the date specifically, but it has all the information. And so parents and students can follow that, which can be both helpful and a double-edged sword in a lot of different ways. I also wanted to show you all the document send feature. So you can see there are 2 pages to this in Maya Docs. We can see the teachers who have prepared the recommendations. Maya does have the opportunity and the option for teachers to do this automatically, for students to directly request from the teachers. Given all of the changes that our faculty were going through this year with the shift to Veracross, we've tried to streamline. So it's a different process. We don't use the built-in Maya system, but we upload, and we have a nice workaround that's actually streamlined for us and our specific process. But students can request, and they can see when the letters come in. From a counselor perspective, I can pull up the specific letter and take a look at it. You can see what documents are uploaded from the counselor documents and the transcripts. And then much like the others, when you go into the send documents, it's pretty easy. It's checking the box. And then as you move forward, there are additional buttons. I talked a lot with our administrative assistant who manages this for our office. And she's a diehard Naviance user over her 17 years in our office. So the transition has been fairly seamless, and she has told us it's fairly similar to Naviance in terms of the ease, maybe a few more buttons to click. But one thing that was a surprise to us initially, but became very helpful, was that there's Common App enabled a single send option, so that when we upload a teacher or counselor letter of recommendation, that's what goes off to Common App. With Naviance, we used to be able to go in if there was an update when a student was awarded or was announced as a cum laude scholar at Mercersburg. We could go in and update if we needed to, and then send another document. That's not possible anymore, and we've actually found that's helpful for the students, so that they're no longer sort of asking for that concierge service every time something little changes, but then it puts the onus on them also to reach out. And I think, let me see what else I wanted to show you here. When the students go into a college profile, that's what the other one I wanted to show you here. It pops up with an overview. Oftentimes there are videos along the bottom here. You can get an overview of the campus community that shows you the breakdown of gender, total students, in-state, out-of-state, diversity, and different organizations as you scroll down. Lots of great data for the students, and this is exactly what the students see as well. It's the same counselor and student view. The scattergrams are very similar to several of the other systems that we've shown. Let me see if I can pull up another one here in a minute, but you have financial aid data, all kinds of information that's particularly helpful, and counselors can add in, after we do a visit to school, we can add in some additional notes as we like. But I also wanted to show you the scattergrams specifically. So let me see. I will pull up so you can see when it pops up for the students, you can toggle if they've done SAT or ACT here, and we can see the student pops up with a black diamond with their information. And much like with CALFO, you can see that there are different shapes and colors based on the different application process. We can customize and turn some of this on and off on the back end. So there's a lot that we can do. And again, Maya has been incredibly helpful in letting us customize, but we're definitely still learning. We're still figuring out how we can really use this system to the best of our ability and to really help with our program. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and we'll open it up to questions.
Great. Our first question comes in from Helen, who wants to know, how much does the profile of an institution impact our students' interest in a particular school? Anyone want to jump in on that?
I'll start. I mean, I would just say that it depends on the student, honestly. Some of our kids are fairly influenced by that. The social media wall, that seems to be more of an influence in score than the actual profile, although of course they look at graduation rate and retention rate kind of first thing, and then a little bit of, the stats kind of make a kid, turn away or come forward or whatever it is. But then once they get into the searching, I would say that the Instagram kind of esque way that SCORE has you looking at colleges is what really attracts kids. So they notice when there's like a Facebook link to, I'm looking for Hillel, and I see the Facebook link, and then they go and they say, nothing's been updated since 2015. That gives me pause, or I need to look more into that. So there's a little bit of interaction that they can do that I think really helps them get a sense of, what's important to the school that they're looking at and whether those things match up with what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I would echo that. When the students go to the profile, I think the more robust it is, with Maya having a variety of videos, and the more information they can find, the more helpful. Honestly, we tend to partner and encourage our students to partner their Maya research and their Maya search engine with something like College Board Big Futures. And I'm always pushing, I'm sure any of us are always pushing students to go check out YouTube and the social media pages for their institutions, so that they're really getting a complete picture, because I think none of these systems can give you a truly fully robust sense of that school for the student. It's usually just a jumping off point.
Yeah, I'll echo that as well. I tell my students to look everywhere. I think I'm a lot jaded from having been on the other side, that I make sure, especially knowing Naviance is the one that charges quite a lot to the colleges, that I ask them to please use multiple sources. Because I worked at a school that couldn't pay Naviance 25 grand to have pictures. And that shouldn't rule a school out. All right. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just to say that I agree with everything everybody else said. I do think that given that we're all virtual right now, there is a heavier reliance on what they're seeing on these platforms than when they can be with us and visiting colleges and so forth. So I think that we might see a change in how much they're using these platforms for this year. But typically I agree that they're using lots of different resources, and this may be a starting off point in a typical year.
Yeah. Our next question comes from Justin. He says, for our tools, I can see you can break down your scattergrams by application plans. Can you see your scattergrams based on major applied, since we know that at some schools, majors can be way more competitive than others?
Yeah, I think at SCORE, I don't believe that you can see it that way, but what you can see, which I forgot to show you, and I would love to take that opportunity to show you now, is you see that little anchor on ours? That's a hook. And so for this kid, that hook is athletics. Counselors we have complete control over what hooks we add in and what we don't. I think one of the things that can be confusing on scattergrams is that sometimes the profile of kids who, have a particular talent or ability might look a tiny bit different on the accepted side. And then these kids are, like a kid who's looking at their own profile is seeing that there's someone who's with similar stats who got in. And it's like, well, yeah, but that kid how to hook and you don't. So I haven't started really playing around with this that much, but I think it's a nice addition. And like everything in SCORE, you can use it or not use it. You can have it on, you can have it off. So if it's useful to you, you get to do that. And the other thing is that ours have the SAT and the ACT at the same time. So you don't have to keep toggling to see what the differences are there. I think that was all I wanted to say about that. But I don't think we can break down. You can ask, we can look to see when kids are applying in SCORE, they put in if they applied to a specific major. So we can access that data, but I don't think it shows up in the scattergram.
Stacy, quick question. Does the student see if they're on that scattergram, is that hook only visible to counselors, or would students see it as well?
That's an incredible question, Francine. And I honestly don't know the answer because I haven't used the hooks yet. And so I haven't played enough around, but I'm going to try to find that answer out for you quickly while other people are talking.
I know in Naviance, there's nowhere to put major.
Yeah, in CALFO, you can't indicate major, and you can't indicate, for example, if you're in state, out of state, I mean, any other feature that might influence admissibility. And we are very careful because I think it's actually a good thing because it makes students and parents have to talk to the counselor about a particular college, and is it going to be more or less competitive for certain majors, or in-state, out-of-state? What are all of these other features? Because we can say this scattergram is just a guide. This is just a general, giving you a general sense, but you really have to have that conversation with the counselor to understand more information and where you might fall in the process for that particular school or that particular program or major based on our experience and our understandings.
Likewise with Maya, we can, on their college list, what the college is considering colleges applying, we can indicate which school within the university they've applied to, and we can indicate which program, but it doesn't pop up on the scattergrams. On the back end, from a reporting standpoint, we can customize a report to pull that information. We have also, and I'm going to mention this cautiously, we also started working this summer with College Kickstart to supplement. This is sort of, for those of you who don't know, College Kickstart is like the mecca of gathering data. You can see everything that you would need to talk with a student about. Rather than keeping individual spreadsheets on our own internally, they gather all the data for us. And within that, they do break out for certain institutions. I know UVA was the one I had demoed the scattergram or some of the information that we can pull out: the College of Engineering, the College of Architecture, Liberal Arts and Sciences. And so there are systems out there that allow you to drill down and compare it with school-specific information too, but in terms of scattergrams, it's a separate report. That information is separate reports that we have to pull. And we can also, I think any of these systems can also flag, we can flag if there are hooks involved, but that's more so on the counselor side.
Our next question comes from Lisa, and she wants to know who or what determines which system our school goes with. Is it cost, and do we have input into the choice, or is it made by others?
That's a great question. And of course, it's going to differ at every school. For me, I'm a counseling office of one, and when we switched over to SCORE, it was free. It's now they charge $5 per senior per year, and that's how it goes, which is really nice for a small school like us. We're still free. We got free forever pricing, but it's nice for small schools to be, I think it's a nice pricing model anyway. And you can have your freshmen, sophomore, and juniors in there, but they charge you per senior. So when I went to my boss and I said, hey, I would like to dump Naviance, which is really, really expensive, and replace it with SCORE, which is free, he was like, okay. So he asked 0 questions about it, and I got to make the decision all by myself. I don't think that's how these things usually go, so I will let other people answer.
As I said, we shopped around, and we had jumped on board with SCORE when it was free, but hadn't been using it. And again, this was under my previous director as well. We shopped around with all of them, and for us, Maya is on the higher end and probably more similar in cost to Naviance. But as I said, for us, it was a matter of integrating its ability to integrate with Veracross to save us hours of data entry. And we had a small task force. I work in an office of about 6 college counselors, so we're on the large side for a school of our size. I realize that. And so we had a small group of us, including our administrative assistant, involved in these discussions, and they did have to really talk with with the school administration to make the case for Maya. But given the lack of responsiveness that we'd had with Naviance and some of the other issues, it was really a seamless transition, and my director had done a lot of the research and went into those conversations well informed, but did have to argue why are we going with a more expensive product and to prove the need for that. But it's been really helpful, and as I said, we're still learning the full capabilities. We also, he and I had a conversation last week that if in a couple years Maya is cost prohibitive and we see where these other systems are going, it may be a good time to reevaluate again. But we're happy with Maya right now, and it was a office-wide decision that did factor in cost as well as the overall picture of where Mercersburg was going, integrating with the new system.
We had a similar situation where we were using Naviance. We had signed on to SCORE when it was, free to sign on, but we hadn't really done anything with it. And then we happened to go to, everyone in the office happened to go to a presentation on C Alpha. We were not looking to make the switch, but we had some issues and complaints with Naviance, and we're really impressed with what we saw with C Alpha. And so it was an easy decision to make because it's for us, it was the same cost, and we're very lucky that in our office, we could make that decision and make that change. And the school supported that.
And in my office, we're the only ones that use it. So it would be, if we continued to explore, it would just be a matter of us presenting it out from the cost perspective, honestly.
Let me also add quickly one thing I didn't mention with Maya. It's linked with Google too, and this year we moved to a Google school, so it's single sign-on. So unlike with Naviance, when the kids forget their passwords, I don't have to reset. It's linked with their email. That's a lot. We've worked with Google for the teacher recommendations, so teachers upload to a Google file, and then we can upload under their name in Maya. So that was part of ours as well. As I said, all about the integration.
We have another question from Francine. Are all of the models that everyone's using the basic that all schools have, or is some of what you have shown upgrades to your individual system? Mine is basic.
Yeah, ours is basic. And one thing to note, C Alpha this spring just came out with a free version that does not have all of the bells and whistles that I showed when I was sharing my screen, but they want to really expand that to schools where the cost of one of these platforms would be prohibitive. So again, it doesn't have everything in it, but it would offer some tracking and data information for the school.
As far as I know, there's only one version of SCORE, and that's what everybody gets. The one thing that I will say that I miss, so Naviance has a lot of add-ons, and one of them that you could add on was a National Clearinghouse data from National Clearinghouse data, the National Clearinghouse, and SCORE does not have that, but we just made our own account with them and paid for that separately. Which has been fine. And then Francine, to answer your previous question, it seems like the hooks are only on the counselor side, which I think is the right place for them to be, honestly. But it gives the counselor an opportunity. In my school, we're so small that if it's a kid who has a hook, I knew about it, even if it was from 10 years ago, but it's nice, I think in larger schools, if you're adding those kinds of things in, to be able to, when you're doing your own analysis, to look at that.
Thanks. And just a quick follow-up. You just said from 10 years ago. On the scattergrams we're seeing, I'm always guessing it's either the current or the immediate previous class.
So you can set it up however you want it. And so you can set it up to be from the beginning of time till now. You can set it up for 5 years. You can, in SCORE anyway, you can choose the time period that you set it up for.
Thank you all. Okay.
Mine is showing 8 years because that's when our GPA changed.
Right. And for a small school like ours, we need to have multiple years. Otherwise, there's nothing going to be in the scattergrams. There's not enough data points.
Yeah, our version of Maya, to answer that question, is the basic. There are add-ons, and one of the add-ons that we were really excited about and purchased initially was the SMS, so we could text message with parents back and forth for different events. I think we have some add-ons. Some of those things come standard, but you do have to pay for those. And with the scattergrams, ours is set at about 5 years right now, because that's tends to be what we find most statistically significant for our kids.
I ran into with the scattergram note just in the last 2 weeks. I had one student accepted and going to the University of Chicago out of however many have applied in the last 10 years. And he goes, "Oh my gosh, everyone can see my test scores." And his name's not attached to it, but everyone knows that this student was accepted and is going there. So it becomes a very obvious minor fault to it. And he goes, "Oh, it is what it is." But it became one where like, oh yeah, I guess if you apply to Penn State, they're not going to really be able to pinpoint who you are.
Yeah, and in those moments, we've chosen to take those students out at times, if they're the only one, or if they had a very significant hook that everyone in our very small community would know. You know, that was the lacrosse goalie going to this Division I school that year, and so we'll choose to take them out here and there just to, you know, protect the innocent.
And then the last question that's come in so far with 3 minutes to spare is pretty great. Allison, from the college perspective, wants to know, on the college side, what do you need to receive documents from Cialfo and Maya specifically?
Great question. As I said, with Maya, part of our decision making was that they were integrating with Common App. So if you're a Common App school, it's an easy document send. Otherwise, Maya uses Parchment. So and where we haven't been able to send something through Parchment, typically we've been able to go back and do any stopgap measures with slate.org. So when we've had to troubleshoot, it's been easier because schools are using more options. The very last option, of course, if none of those work, is to send it through directly to our rep via an email or something like that. But we haven't had any trouble, and that was largely why we had our administrative assistant in the conversations, because she's the woman hitting submit on all of these documents after we've told her they're good to go. And if document submission was not easily integrated, it was a non-starter for her.
And it's the same in Cialfo. Cialfo is integrated with Common App, and they use Parchment, so we can send to most everyone. And we haven't, that wasn't a concern, and we definitely wanted to go with them because of that Common App integration.
And then I guess you didn't ask about SCORE, but I'll just say that SCORE, I think, has a proprietary system for sending, but it's integrated with Slate. So any school that has Slate is seamless. And then any school that doesn't have Slate has signed on to SCORE's thing, which is very, it's free, and it evidently takes 5 minutes to do, can receive documents. And then for those few that don't, we work around. But I've been with SCORE for 4 years now, I think, 3 or 4. And at the beginning, there were definitely issues where we would run into schools that weren't taking the documents. But over the years, that number has shrunk considerably, and it's continuing to. So it doesn't come up for us that much anymore.
Excellent. Any other questions? All right.
I have a quick comment. Maybe on scattergrams in the future, you're going to need a separate color for the acceptances for this year as the standout craziness.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Thank you, ladies. Next year too is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, God only knows. Thank you, ladies.
Scattergrams are going to be less useful.
I will pop up our contact information. If anybody wants to reach out specifically, please feel free. Otherwise, we thank you all. One question popped in. Is there any other thing admissions counselors can do to assist with the process? Patience.
Yes. I think
we're relying on 17-year-olds to tell us information.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things that came up when we were planning for this session is always that question when the kid calls and says, well, the college is saying they haven't received my documents. Have they been sent? And for us, again, the fact that Maya shows it's transparent to parents and students when something has been successfully sent or when it's available. That's always the question. There's a point where it says available doc if it's not successful. And oftentimes that's a third letter of recommendation for a school that won't take more than 2 teacher letters of recommendation. So we have those conversations, but that transparency, that was a lot of what we wanted to show is what we see on this side. And oftentimes the answer to that question is be patient while the colleges process the information. We'll check in with you because they've got a deluge. But we just wanted to give you all a sense of what it looks like on our side so that you can see we are tracking this information as best that we can.
Well,
go ahead, Lauren.
Oh, sorry. I think getting back to Justin's question about the scattergrams based on major, we don't have that information, and sometimes that information is really hard to get. And so I think one thing that's really helpful is as you're giving counselors updates, as you're visiting us and meeting with us and talking about what's new at your school, that's really helpful to understand if you have a specific program that is really far more competitive or that is smaller, and so there just aren't that many spots available. Anything that you can help us understand about what's different about applying to different majors or schools within your college or university, that's very helpful information to us as we advise students, because we always want to advise students and the right students to your schools and your programs, and sometimes that's the information that's hard to come by.
Sure.
All right, so there's a little PACAC break until I think noon when they go over the bylaw changes.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good day.
I just wanted to
Hi,
say
Britt.
done.
Thank you, ladies. And thank you, Bill. This was great.
Yeah, that went well. I had so many notes over here yesterday. I took like an hour and I was like, what are all the things I could possibly need to ask about? Because there's actually one of the things that Mike and I talked about last week when we met was needing to have one of us on staff who can go through and look at Maya and say, what can we do with this to make our lives easier? And I was like, I'll do it, sure, because I love this stuff. And I was
he
like,
was in here at some point, Rachel.
Huh?
He was in at some point.
Oh, good, good.
Came in.
I was hesitant to even look because I was like, it'll make me nervous if Mike's
I saw him pop up and I was like, oh, there we go.
No,
All right.
I think it went great.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys. You did a great job.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
See you all soon.
Okay.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.